In the world of motorsport, there's a race like no other. A race that stretches the boundaries of endurance, resilience, and sheer human will. It's called the Dakar Rally. And for over 4 decades now, it's been a demanding test where riders must conquer the entire distance of the World Rally Championship in just 15 days. A brutal 8,000 kilometers across the most unforgiving terrain on Earth. But Dakar isn't only a test for the riders. It's a crucible for their machines. Sand, rock, and relentless heat punish every part of the vehicles, pushing it to the edge of mechanical failure that can end a race in seconds. Survival here isn't just about skill, it's about endurance and the resilience to keep going when every bolt, every tread, every ounce of fuel is wearing thin. In recent years, Indian athletes have pushed their limits and dared to challenge themselves at this ultimate proving ground. But one person has gone above it all, changing the course of his life and career, making it the ultimate purpose of his life.
I'm Ashish Raorane. I've been active in the cross-country rallying sport for over about 6-7 years now. Started as a weekend trip just to try something adventurous, but it has escalated pretty quickly in the last 7 to 8 years. So yeah, it's pretty cool also for me to be sitting here and actually doing something like this. Probably 10 years ago, I wouldn't have thought this would actually be happening.
Motorsport has always been a niche sport in India, even more so when it comes to off-road racing. The country has an active scene in motocross, yet cross-country rallying has long remained on the fringes.
There are multitudes of amateur rallies around the world, and just the nature of rallying, the sport, carries so much adventure, and a lot of people want to do it. And I think essentially my part has been to present a possibility to people.
A possibility that Ashish wants to create for himself as well. Following a brutal crash at the previous Dakar, he was forced to retire and has unfinished business. A plan to revive it all over again.
In terms of the actual racing, the strategy is pretty simple. It's to finish, and like you probably heard before, to finish first, you got to first finish. Fitness is something that is key to rallying, and I'm working really hard to be fitter and fitter.
Indian athletes have always had the potential to take on this monumental challenge. Yet for many, the dream of Dakar has remained just out of reach, not due to talent, but support and resources.
When I went to the first Dakar in 21, a lot of it was self-funded, which in itself is a big expense. But since 21, now to my latest venture into Dakar again, 24, things have changed quite a bit. A lot of brands fortunately have come forward and agreed to partner with me, and that has been really phenomenal.
Enabling Ashish on his Dakar journey is Rise Moto, on a mission to empower Indian motorsport to compete on the global stage and put India on the world map.
Hi, I'd like to believe Rise Moto is more than just a tire company. It is an enabler of journeys for the passionate enthusiasts. It's a vision backed by a solid foundation. The two bedrocks of the foundation are the partnership with Mitas, which has a long legacy and history in the business, and our 4 decades of tire manufacturing expertise. So the progression to motorsport was a very natural progression. We wanted to test our tires under extreme conditions in the toughest environments, which is what motorsports represents. That was the genesis of this project.
Within 2 years of its inception, Rise Moto made a name for itself with purpose-built motorcycle tires in off-road communities and motorsport events alike. Taking it further with the competition spec Torque R, They're now setting their sights on something no Indian tire company has attempted before.
Dakar basically is a product which has been designed for the application which is mainly used for the racing purposes and underfoot conditions. The idea was to develop a tire which can compete in the toughest rally on this earth, and then we found the man for the job.
I've been using Rise tires for more than a year now. Very comfortable with the tires, and I know that the performance of the tires is also really good. And when we thought of that, we thought, well, what is the hardest condition that we could put it in? And of course, the answer is the Dakar. So yeah, that was a pretty simple decision to make, really.
The home ground test will set the benchmark for the beginning of the season. And we have created a progressive plan that will lead to 2025 Dakar Rally.
Pune is just a milestone on the road to the 2025 Dakar race. The next 6 months will be full of relentless work for this team. Testing on Indian soil and even participating in 2 international races.
It's home track to begin with, and also the terrain that we have here. It's hard pack, especially now, just as the summers are ending. The ground is really hard, and this is something that we will face once we reach Spain in a month or so.
The plan to work on this project is where my team is collecting the objective data and Ashish is giving us the subjective information.
So it's a very objective as well as a subjective test that we are doing, and the idea is to basically collate the data and see which of the iteration we want to basically use for the first race in Spain. There are 5 versions of the tires, and there are subtle differences, not huge differences.
And these variants have been named as G1, G2, G3, G4, G5.
And then at the end of the testing schedule, we'll put together this data, and then we will see their philosophy of making the tire, if that kind of aligns, like what the rider actually feels and how the tire was basically designed with what in mind.
If you can meet the challenge of motorsport, you can be sure the tires will perform in any situation.
What differentiates a cross-country rally like Dakar is the longevity as well of the tires, because there is so much demand on, and the tire has to last for 500 to 600 kilometers of off-road plus your tarmac sections. So I think the evolution is primarily there. The boundaries of technology are pushed in racing conditions, and the data that they derive from them eventually trickles down to the end user, and that generally is the philosophy of going racing. The next step for us is to participate in Baja Aragon in Spain in July. So that's where we will then test the remaining iterations of the tire.